Hello, 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 my sweetheart, darling Dhwani. Welcome to Coffee Mornings with Mariam. I am so excited to be having you here for episode 3. From sitting and eating dinner in our hotel room while we attended our own program and sessions to now, sharing life with our audience. This is exciting, and a lot has happened for you personally, professionally. And so we're going to talk all about that in today's episode. It's going to be really relaxed, chill, and easy because that's exactly how we are. Congratulations on your TEDx event. That is so exciting. Congratulations on your digital marketing adventure, which has begun and you're doing so well. And of course, congratulations on your divorce. Who
Thank
says that? We say that because honestly, I've been divorced before. I am now married again. And one of the things we women need to get out of is the energy that when something is not serving us and we literally have to pack our bags, leave, and restart, that we are holding a ton of weight on our shoulders, in our minds, in our bodies. And here you are today telling us how you did it because you didn't do it the standard way. Of course, when you are deciding to consciously separate, because there are reasons we go through, life, and we know what connects us and we know what disconnects us. We do have the bigger picture in mind. And I want you to be able to speak straight from the heart and let it all out so that anyone, like we have women talking to us saying they're struggling in their marriages make them feel like a ghost, their marriages make them feel like slaves, their marriages make them feel unseen, unheard, and even if they have everything, they have the money, they have the, conveniences, they still aren't feeling like they ought to feel. There is no joy, there is no happiness, there is no connection. And while you make the efforts to try to build that, what really can a woman do when she feels like, I don't know anymore. Like from my side, I can't do any. Over to you, sweetheart. What is it that you did?
Honestly, I wish there was like a formula or a structured way of me putting this all together for, of course, you, the audience. But unfortunately, there isn't. It is as the day comes, how you feel.
Mhm.
I think the most important thing is you just asking yourself, what can I do today to make myself happy?
Right.
And I think that one particular question every day has helped me. I do remember when I was into the transitioning phase of my separation, it wasn't easy. And anybody who tells you it is, please take a U turn and run away from that person who tells you it is going to be very, very easy. It is not. But it's worth it. It
Yeah.
is worth every decision that I have taken, every push that I have the leap of faith that I have taken in my life. And I'm so happy. I am so happy that, everything happened for the good in the hindsight. I am happy and I am moving on in life. And for me, moving on doesn't always mean having a companion with me or having a relationship with me. What I've found out, which was I think, the most precious gift out of my separation was finding my own self.
No. Yes, absolutely. 100%. You connected to my heart right here.
Because I feel since quite some time, I was doing everything, putting everybody in the center of my life. And from there to, of course, when you don't have anybody, now
Right.
there's nobody. Like, for example, now you have your kids, your husband, maybe your parents, but suddenly, God forbid, nobody is there.
Absolutely.
And then you have to baby your own self.
Yeah.
first to be able to come out of the whole situation, see what you feel like, hold space for yourself. I was very, very lucky to have of course, all of you by my side also by then.
Yeah.
So I did have a lot of help around me, and I think that's the only reason I could do whatever I could do and come out of it so beautifully.
I have one question for you, which is the hurt. This is something that whether you're happy to be leaving so that you can get started on the next chapter of your life, the part of uncoupling, no matter how conscious it is, okay, there is hurt. There is hurt because your dreams, everyone doesn't get into a marriage thinking, oh, I'm going to be in this for 1 year, I'm going to be in this for 6 months, or I'm going to be in this for 5 years, and then I'm going to walk away.
Absolutely.
You are getting into something with commitment. You are getting into something with expectations. You are getting into something with your mind, your heart, your body, even to the extent your time, your finances, your values, your personality, and you are in for what we can call as a ride. It's like putting yourself through either a washing machine or a dryer. Whichever way you say it, that process of tumbling around is definite. Add to that, you will have, your own parents' expectations, you'll have your friends, you'll have your family, you'll have relatives, you'll have peer pressure. So we're not talking about a person who lives in isolation and makes these decisions. Yes, of course, we're very aware of the fact that all of this happens. And I want to take us back to the point where you said that, yes, I did have support, but this was my journey back to me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And the hurt that you're talking about, I don't understand one thing. Why have we sort of had these emotions in a box?
Yeah.
Hurt is also an emotion, it is a feeling for a human being to feel.
Yes.
We have put this as a negative or a positive because sometimes hurt doesn't serve us, sometimes hurt serves us.
Beautiful.
There was a time where, when I separated, everything that I have been, I have been through actually worked like fire for me. So, again, one very beautiful question you need to ask whether this is serving you or limiting you.
Beautiful.
It could also be a negative feeling that for a long term in your futuristic goal, it could serve you. It could help you grow better in life. And this doesn't come from grudges, mind you. I'm not saying you hold grudges towards people who've hurt you and then, but you honor that hurt. You feel that so much that once it's gone for all. And I'm
Okay.
not saying I'm still not a finished product.
Right.
I've come a long, long way and I still have a long, long way to go.
Right.
Healing or hurt or things like that are not like 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, process. It can take a lot of time. And although you feel that you have healed and, you're okay and happy,
Mm-hmm.
suddenly something happens and, you might think of that person again, which is okay as long as you're willing to send only good wishes to them and also hope the good and the best for you.
Oh, that's beautiful. In the process of this conversation so far, we often see people at courts, they're constantly putting allegations on the other person, right? You're always like, I wanted this and they did this. It could be
Absolutely.
as simple as lifestyle issues. They expect the woman to come in to their house and maybe take on the whole house responsibilities, maybe be responsible for food, for laundry, for all of that. And if you're a working woman and you've had that service for yourself, why would you'd probably manage it, you'd manage it together, but there is a certain dignity, a level of respect that especially now when both parties are carrying their own weight deserve. They deserve
Absolutely.
equal opportunity, they deserve equal sharing of the load. And that's where this conversation is coming from. So, for viewers who are tuning in, there can be a variety of people. If you are more than happy to just be the homemaking person, if you're, want to play that role, then probably you won't have the same issues that maybe Dhira had or maybe I had, right?
Abs-
So, what happens is, let's go a little bit into the arranged marriage situation. Was yours an arranged marriage? Yeah.
yes.
So,
Mine.
right, so the difficult part starts with the fact that we're not able to communicate our own needs even at that stage of relationship, saying that I'm an independent person, I'd like to be independent. Sometimes we're not even seen and heard by our own parents, right? Like we are expected that this might happen, or sometimes we're like giving ourselves the challenge that if she can do it, maybe I can do it too. If women for generations have been doing it, then maybe I can do it too. But
Absolutely.
there is so much as part of our own desires, as part of who we have dreamed of being and becoming, even in partnership, even in marriage, that when this alignment is off, it leads to a divorce. And it's, if I can simplify it at this stage, it's literally that. It's literally that, you probably need to be with yourself, and in time maybe with a different partner, maybe with the possibilities. I always would say to my father when we had this conversation, our dad, the possibilities are infinite.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you've asked this question and we're getting into such an important conversation for, I think, everybody out there, married women, for single women also. This is very, very important. And I'd like to believe that, in disparity, like if we look at our mothers, grandmothers, patriarchy has always been an issue. Now since we're growing, now we've become independent women, we want to earn our own money, etc., etc., with the whole feminism taking over. I feel like that is also disparity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Where is
And
the balance?
there is no balance, and that is the problem. I feel like I do not go and expect anybody to win over life by putting even the men down.
Absolutely.
I mean, they can have their own upbringing, whatever. In fact, I'd like to say this publicly today that, like you said, the mudslinging between the families and everything, although we had a lot of issues between me and my ex husband, but I'll have to give this to him that he had decided that none of our parents will be involved in the divorce proceedings, which
Wow.
I think was in a sort of protection for both of us, because that is going to happen in any family, not per se an Indian family, but आपके बेटे ने ये किया, मेरी मेरी बेटी ने ये किया. That's the kind of conversations we all hear,
Absolutely.
and I feel that was so mature of him to do that for the both
Yes.
of us. And
Yes.
in the hindsight, I understand why.
Hmm.
Of course, during that time, I couldn't understand why they're our parents, and why are they not getting involved, or why are we not involving them in such a big decision. But I feel that I should give this to him that, he decided something, and with mutual respect. So even while separating, we've had this mutual respect for both of us and for both of our wantings, desires, everything. Like
That's
he
amazing.
wants something, I will willingly be able to do that, and if I asked for something, he was also willing to do that
Yeah.
for the both of us. And we parted our ways in a way very beautifully.
Yeah.
Of course, I wouldn't say that we're in
Good
touch.
terms. Yes.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, we were in good terms, and we've put a full stop to that relationship, and we do not want to prolong just for the sake of being in good terms. And I think that is also toxic sometimes. So I
Yes.
feel whatever we are at, him being happy in his own life, me flourishing in my own way, I think is beautiful. So that is where we are in terms of all of that. And of course, yes, like you said, arranged marriage with the families being involved and
Yes. Yes.
everything. I feel
See,
it.
Advani, this is something that I'd like to highlight now that you've said it, is that when you take 100% responsibility of your life, to
Absolutely.
just make that decision, and that means that you don't involve other people. Maybe someone has taken the initiative, but you've, to your side, maybe there were questions, maybe there were doubts, but understanding, and respecting through that process, I think the clean break that you were able to get is far more, so what can I say to describe that process? Because I've had both kinds of, the divorce that has happened. One where it was just between the two parties, where it was adults and, we separated. And then I had a divorce where both the families, got into war. So I sometimes wonder, I was like, why is it that I've had to experience both like this? And I think that the only answer to this is that it makes me better to help people out and say that I have been in both situations. We'll just take a pause right here for a second. Been filming on my phone also. I don't have any space here. All right. Now that we know that this happens, you know how we hammer ourselves and we're like killing ourselves. We're like, what did I do to either deserve this? How did I get myself here? I didn't even think about this. And, am I a bad person? Of course, you're going to get flooded because it happens, right? It's such a natural process. And that happens to everyone. Did it happen? It happened to me. Like for the longest time, I was like, what did I do to do
Of,
this?
of course, of course. And how much ever, we try to blame one person in a relationship, it is never one person's mistake. You can only clap with both your hands, and there
Yeah.
is no way that, either of the person can escape the blame.
Mhm.
So I feel whoever, whatever the mistakes have been, I just like to ask myself, what am I learning from this?
Beautiful.
And I feel like I've gotten beautiful answers, and I will like to accept the fact that, yeah, of course, as a human being, I've made mistakes in my marriages. I mean, just one, my marriage, and but I'm learning from it. I know what to do in the future, or what not to do in my future. But I'm happy like this. You know what I'm trying to say, versus me just being stubborn and victimizing myself,
Yeah.
or I think I'm just happy
So
like
how
this.
how long was your marriage?
My marriage almost lasted for about 3 years.
Okay. I
So
think that 3-year mark sounds about right because you have enough time to really get to know how you're going to be there for each other, because there are a lot of marriages, especially in a country like ours where we come from, where joint families are still the norm and in all, sectors of society. So there are times where, the couple works it out between themselves, which they say is like your bedroom talk. Like that's where it happens. Be like, okay, you have a dream, I'm going to support you, this is what we're going to do, this is how we'll figure it out. So the conversation between the couple tends to be one of the largest indicators for your success and failure. So ultimately that is a connection that has to have been really solid, and for you to feel like, this is your person and you are going to be able to get through this no matter what you throw in the mix. And sometimes you realize that in that conversation that you're not going to be able to. That is basically that space where you realize that, okay, this isn't, working. So, how things happen, what circumstances make them happen, I think this is something that only each person who is in that situation knows, right?
Absolutely.
Um, and no, it's not pretty. I'd like to add that here that it is not the pretty part. It is not at all pretty, and it's probably even for someone who is spiritual would be like, this is not right. You sit with that pain as well. So one is you think about yourself, you think about your spirituality, you think about your future. You start to be concerned about your own finances, your own social status, how people are going to perceive you. And at the beginning you said you had a good community of people who supported you, were
Yes.
there for you, who helped you overcome that. So, if there are any questions from the audience that you have maybe had, like people ask you, please do share it with us at this moment so that we can move on to the more personal things.
I think how you put it is absolutely right, because these decisions are not made in a day. It is, a lot of things coming together. And even before you speak it out, you speak to yourself about these decisions, right?
Mm-hmm.
These things go in your brain, your mind, a lot of times before you actually act onto something uh, so big. Or maybe we've made this such a big issue of separation. So yeah, it's not a one day decision. It's not. And why this happens, I just tell you my personal experience, and this could be subjective to a lot of different kinds of couples. What happened between us was mainly the misalignment in our communication
Mm-hmm.
and the expectations and the desires both. Like, we expected something very different from each other, and we desired very different things from each other. So basically, just misalignment of a lot of things. It's not just one that you can fix, it's not two that you can still go ahead with, it's not three. There are multiple issues between two people. And then you think that, is it even worth working on each every day? Like, it's taxing, I feel like you don't have to go through that to just make a relationship work.
Right, absolutely. And if I might add, now that I'm married, we live together and, the entire situation feels like it's supporting us. It feels like I can breathe deeply. And knowing now, I feel like what happened then happened for a reason.
Absolutely.
Because most people in their marriages, yeah, no marriage is perfect, but there has to be your sense of identity, your self identity. You have to be able to see yourself in that relationship, be seen by your partner. Your partner should feel equally seen and loved by you, which is exactly what you're talking about. When there is alignment, you know you work on it because then it fixes into place, right? Like clockwork, it fixes and it goes. But when it's not, it hurts, it makes a sound, it's creaking, it's cracking, you're not feeling yourself. So these are your general indicators when things work out. And nobody, like we spoke about, nobody goes into it thinking that it might be this way or it might not be. It's just a part of what you're going to experience in your lifetime, and it's your journey. So don't overthink it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Do not overthink it. I would rather just say, take your time. If you're into a transition period, talk to yourself, talk to experts.
Right,
Because I
absolutely.
feel like talking to experts have helped me. Me being a coach myself, during that period, I have sought professional help,
Mm.
and which has worked the best for me. It has helped me come out of it sooner than I thought I would.
Okay.
So I think that helped me a lot. And yeah, I think just do what works for you. You do not have to be in a relationship just to save it for the society
Right.
and die inside.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the world can see all the beautiful things that we want to show. Like if you saw my life, and I've said this time and about that, my life looked perfectly fine. On the outside, I had fancy holidays, vacations, fancy dates, everything, celebrations all around. But still, that one person who needs to actually see you and hear you, if that's missing, I think nothing's worth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'd like for us now to, as you say so beautifully, send peace and blessings. That's something that you spoke about right at the beginning. Send peace and blessings to the people, because Lord, like from mudslinging to peace and blessings, what do you think is the difference? You had a choice. You could have gone either way, but you chose to be in your peace.
This was also a transition, I would say, Mariam, because not in the first instance you're going to be able to bless that person. And let's not sugarcoat this in a way that, we are all human beings. And before we are coaches, we are human beings first. And I would want to feel everything organically. There have been times where I have uh, maybe not told him, but I've abused him. I've abused him to bits. I've felt like, he spoiled my life and this and that and everything. But that process is to actually process.
Yeah, love that. Yes.
So go through it. I mean, you cannot be just waking up one day and think like, oh my God, my ex-husband was amazing and I, God bless him. And,
Why are you separating then, right?
exactly. So you are going to have problems with all of that also. It doesn't happen in a day. I think I would come out and say this also very honestly, that sometimes even when I hear things about my ex-husband, which we're a close community, right? Which I tend to, and sometimes even see pictures, the first instance is not going to be all,
Of
peaceful.
course, you
The first,
want to be like, your shoulders are going to shrug. You're going to want to hit and punch
yeah,
almost and be like so frustrated inside
yes.
out, right?
Yes, 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 absolutely. But it's only, I'd like to say, initially, if this thing happened 10 times, now it's happening once.
Yeah.
And slowly and
Yes.
gradually, I know that the next, maybe, I don't know when it's going to happen, but I am going to be able to bless him someday
That's
without that shoulders shrinking or whatever, So I want to be in that place myself consciously, because what has happened.
yes.
We've gone through it. We've had our fair share of hurt, anger, frustration, and then moving on and letting go and all of those things also. So I go back. Let's grow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is, I do not want to just keep on saying that it was easy or it was on the first day I felt like, okay, fine, I forgive him and let's just
So,
let it.
would you suggest, you spoke about getting professional help, and we're both professionals, both having dealt with and having experience in the matter. So, of course, we have our techniques, we have tools, and it's not going to look the same, but when you use these channels to process, like you said, you will have a better result, right? You will have the support that you need, correct? You will be able to feel like you're the one who's making the decisions, and it's not your sister or your brother or your uncle or your aunt or someone else, because that tends to happen. You tend to hear a lot of voices everywhere, and when you sit with a coach, it's about you. We work with the person. What is it that you're going to need? What is it that is making you come out of a situation, is because you want something better for yourself in your life. So we're starting to shift the focus onto something. It's like taking the control back, especially in a difficult situation like this where you feel like someone else is changing the channels on the television. You're not able to see your life play out. And this is one of the most tricky parts in, even in a marriage, when you're getting into a relationship or when you're getting out of it, you need to be able to see the picture for yourself. And if someone else has the remote and you're passing the parcel, then you're not really seeing things in clarity. You're not seeing beginning to end. And when you work with a professional, you are able to consistently make progress. And if you're not happy with a certain area or a certain scene, you get the chance to work on it at that time. So I love this aspect of the conversation because there is such a big difference versus, someone, especially during our times, I didn't have the coach when I was maybe 25. I went to a counselor and I did transaction analysis, and I worked with a part of me that had to deal with, something I had way back in my childhood with just my father. Because a lot of the times, when you go into these kinds of avenues, you'll realize that how you feel as a woman with men, what your relationships have been, all these things have an impact, and it's like sort of opening up Pandora's box, and not just seeing that there are problems, but you'll also find treasures that you can work with, which is what I love about coaching, is that it's also a treasure box. Pandora might have opened it, but there were a lot of other things that, we got with it as well, which is something I want to hear from you in terms of some situations or maybe some tools that kept you grounded. Like, of course, you let it out, but how do you come back into your center? What is that one method or maybe that, thing that you kept coming back to that helped you stay centered, whether it was a spiritual awakening, whether it was a mindset shift, whether it was some habits that, you started to practice?
I think it was everything in bits and parts.
Okay.
I didn't have a very specific routine that I followed every day because I felt like I was again putting myself in a box of doing this irrespective of I feeling like doing that or no.
Mm-hmm.
So the same question, what do I want to feel today? How
Okay.
can I change that? So there have been a few tools that I've been working up until today, not for the same reasons, for other reasons, is doing a radical gratitude.
Okay.
For all the audience who don't know this concept, is you take a person, you take a situation which is not working out for you. Like for me, it was my separation and my ex-husband, my ex-in-laws, and everybody I was very, very angry with.
Right.
And it's in times like this that you do radical gratitude, that because of them what good happened in your life, because of whatever they did to you. It could be, of course, the negative side of it, but because of that, what positive changes have come into your life. You
Oh, that's
write those things down, and this automatically shifts your perspective to the better side of it. And
yeah,
then, like how we say, in hindsight, you feel good about those things because, okay, fine, some things didn't work, but you also have a platter of what helped you, just being where you are.
absolutely, absolutely. I think that having said this, you get exposed to culture, you get exposed to families, and of course, the relationship didn't work out, but there are so many good things. For me, this radical gratitude looked a little different because we only know one side when we're raised in our own families, but the kind of exposure I got when I was with different families, things that they did that were meaningful, that helped with connection, that helped build something. So you're able to sort of, it's like going to a buffet. You don't eat everything because you don't enjoy everything, but at the same time there are takeaways. There are
Yes, we
some
take what
very nice takeaways that
absolutely.
I'm sure you'd even in the future be like, I do this and it comes from this period of my life. This it comes from having lived with these people, having grown with these people. And maybe at that time you picked up coaching. Maybe, it's not directly related to them, but it's something that you did in that
In
period
that
that
phase.
can
Absolutely.
be
Absolutely.
part of your growth journey. And thank you so much for sharing that. It's amazing. So now that, things are more complete, how are you feeling and how are you taking care of yourself right now? Uh, you know, it's beautiful to see your energy. Your Instagram is, buzzing with your health and, nutrition, your different things. It's really engaging. And you got invited based on that to your TED Talk as well,
Ye-
to the college in Bombay. So
Yes.
tell us a little bit about, how you are currently dating yourself.
Oh, that's such a wonderful question. Yes, I am in love with myself, in a relationship with my own self as of right now.
Yes.
Although I have some amazing relationships around me, my parents, my co-founder, my employees working with me. But I think all this while, like I told you, I've always put somebody else in the epicenter of my world.
Mm,
And the very first time after my separation, I have learned to put myself as the epicenter of my world, and everything can revolve around it.
absolutely.
And I feel like, yeah, I take myself out on dates, and it wasn't, how it looks on the Instagram. Honestly speaking, my first ever date with myself, I remember, uh, was whining with pizza at my favorite pizza place in Mumbai. And honestly, I felt like, okay, fine, I can do this. And, this is what I need to do because I've been told to do this. And, let's see how my experience is and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that great. My first experience, I felt like, why the hell am I eating alone?
Mm-hmm.
While and of course, I probably chose the wrong place also because it was like a fine dine sort of a place, like a candlelight something. And I was like, why the hell am I eating alone? But gradually, that was only because I've never allowed myself to be with my own self, into my own company. And only slowly did I start enjoying being with myself. In fact, after that was the 31st of December, and I spent the New Year's Eve by myself, like literally home alone. And that wasn't the plan, okay? My parents were supposed to be with me, and they ditched me for I don't know what reason, and they went out with their family, their friends. But that day, I realized that was actually the learning point for me that I can do things that I want to do even when nobody is around. I don't need people to make me feel good about myself. I don't need people to, hype me up. I can do everything by myself. I can hype myself up. I did not dress. I was in my pajamas, but I was so comfortable listening to the favorite songs. Again, whining, having my favorite food. In fact, so much that I forgot that it was 12 o'clock at night. And only when my parents and friends called me, I realized that, oh my God, I've literally spent the New Year's Eve by myself. And that
Yeah.
was probably the first time that, I was celebrating uh, just
Yourself.
myself. Yes.
Dhwani, this is so beautiful because all my life, right, up until all of this happened, I think the biggest thing was I didn't know how to spend time with myself. And the
Yes.
fact that you brought this up is so clearly like, I mean, of course, we read books in our room or we, got dressed and all of that, but the reality of doing things by yourself as well, right? Like not just spending alone time in your room and being like, I like this, but being able to do life on your own is so empowering. And I feel like the kind of confidence that one gets, I remember, because I come from, my parents who've given me everything. They've, sheltered me. There was always whatever needs were always taken care of. But every time there was this effort to want to do something myself, it was always met with support. instead of
Yeah.
actually doing it. And then, you get married and you're in situations and, like you don't find that support. You're not getting it, and you don't know that you have to figure it out yourself. It's like it's projected onto, like, I've always had this. Why are these people, not being able to give me that sort of support? Now from, having it, it becomes an expectation. And no one prepares a woman for that. No one prepares a daddy's girl or mama, like, good family woman to say that you're going to go and life's going to be hard for you. Maybe you would have had to hear it at some point, but still, when it always came down to, things getting hard, it was. And one of the most beautiful things that came out of it was just before I chose to get into my relationship, which I'm now married, is that, you know what? I am not desperate for a relationship because I'm so fulfilled by just myself. I'm so happy. I'm so much at peace. You'd feel so relaxed. And then, of course, when it came to this third time choice, and I would be like, but am I willing to? Now it becomes that. You have all of these things, and a lot of the times women are not even choosing marriage because they're like, we don't want to deal with the stress that comes of figuring things out in a relationship. And I agree with most women because that sweet spot is really sweet, especially if you've been through some really crazy, not fun relationships. So I think what really helped me was so much clarity at that second level, right? Like, if I'm going to be sharing a room with that person, I'm like, no, I don't want to wake up. I literally was like, I don't want to wake up in the same room as someone else. Like, I want to wake up by myself. I want to have my stuff around. And these were things that I was starting to feel were like, I'm not going to be able to negotiate, with a person. So when it comes to marriage, like if you're living with in-laws and you're sharing one bedroom, how are you going to be able to say, no, I want my own space?
Yeah.
And call me crazy for saying it out loud. But these are sort of things that make your relationship work when you know what works for you, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll tell you something very crazy that I like to believe too. We've been called emotional, we've been called weak. What about the men who are living in their own comfort zone, in their own houses, with every luxury that they've had in their lives? Not even want to, adjust and be flexible to our ways of living.
Yeah.
And not sometimes not even standing up for their wives. It sort of I get that ick, when I say this, that.
Yeah.
And then these are these kind of families and men who call women weak and emotional.
Yes, I totally 100%, agree with you. And this is not that point where I'm trying to pull anyone down, but I just feel like men need to have that experience of doing things for themselves. And
Absolutely.
men who've not lived on their own, who've not figured it out on their own, I feel, live-in relationships and things like that are very looked down upon in a lot of cultures because they're like, shadi ke pehle, how, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, when you live with a person do you really get to know them.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I totally agree.
Yeah, and it's like till that doesn't happen, you're sort of wondering what is going to happen. A lot of people have figured it out. They still have to figure it out. But I am saying out there to anyone, if you know that you are a certain, if you're hesitant, especially, if you're hesitating and you're not sure, and then you go and you feel stuck, it gets overwhelming, and your nervous system shuts down. You go into depression, you go into freeze mode. So how is it that even if they are good people, will anything work for you? Right? I mean,
It doesn't work like.
nothing works. So, like, when you talk about dates, when you talk about having conversations, when we talk about being vulnerable with the other person, I am telling you, food is an issue. It's your sustenance, right? Like your basic needs are like food, right? And so, if you are used to maybe eating something for your breakfast and the other family doesn't even have it, the first few initial struggles for the girl is even wanting to eat something that she likes,
Even asking for it.
or even asking for it, you know. So you're telling me that we are supposed to be happy with the buffet where there's so much, and you're like, first thing in the morning, I don't want to look at all of this food, I just want something simple. We need for people's ideologies, right from the mother-in-law to the father-in-law, you know, they are like, oh, they'll have their fights, they'll have their conversations, their chai will come. This is life you're living, you know. This is not some Hindi movie where you get to see one scene of it. It's very different. You're being put into, you're being cast, you're not getting a script. You're being cast in a movie and you're just like, what the hell is happening to me? And so how can we help women who are even thinking of getting married is, and I have realized this because now I am in a marriage, is to talk about it. I literally would tell my husband, I said, look man, you eat sambar rice, I cannot. I called my friend, I called her and I said, who the hell will say this? Because, you know, you and me, we'll get along, we'll speak to each other, we have the respect, all of that is okay. But I'm like, I'm worried about things that are the small things.
Yeah,
Small things are often the things that you know, get neglected. And I listen to one of these songs very often where it says that I'm not someone who wants grand gestures, I don't want to go on a jet plane, but knowing that I want what kind of sugar I want or what kind of tea I want, that makes a big difference. Okay, you
absolutely.
can work together to build your empire, you can work together to create a beautiful life, but at the very nature level, you are going to have your period, you're going to have the person's baby, you're going to, you know, have a sick day. How is it that you're going to feel? First of all, it's not even so much about the other person, it's about how you are dealing with your own needs.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, mama would have made you chicken soup here. Your mother in, you're going to be like, shit, I'm sick. I have responsibilities. I need to go and get breakfast ready. That's the kind of stress women are having to face. That's the
Absolutely.
kind of
Absolutely.
challenge.
And I remember this so beautifully that whenever I get sick, I need a lot of attention and pampering. I get very clingy as a person. And clingy, by clingy, what I mean is physically clingy. Okay,
Yes.
I want somebody to just sit by myself,
Yeah.
hold me, and things like that. And if that's not what you get, I mean, these are the kind of, I would rather say, wants or desires you have. And these may be very, very small, but they're very, very important to you.
Yes. Physical connection, right? Like, physical connection is not just the act of, you know, making love to your partner. It comes with the small little touches.
Yeah.
And I think that there is room for growth. Like when you get into it, you're gonna, like last night my husband had, like, he's so used to, like, we are very affectionate now with each other. So last night, without even looking at him, I went and, like, you know, before he could, I did. And he's like, oh please. I was like, why, what happened? He's like, I've eaten and I'm feeling uncomfortable, please don't touch me.
Yeah.
You know, and that talks to me about intimacy. That's like, okay, now I'm like, oh, okay, fine, there's a ginger ale in the fridge, shall I get it for you?
Yeah.
This, to get to this stage in your marriage, in your relationship, what is it that needs happening? You need to invest your time with each other. You need to listen when the other person is talking. You need to be looking at the other person. And these are things that who teaches you about in life? You don't, right? We learned it. We went through an entire program where we were like, when I am feeling like someone who is angry, who is upset, I learned how to channel that anger rather than ruin things for myself. I realized that as a human being, I am 100% capable of feeling angry and pissed off, and everyone gets angry, everyone gets pissed off. But, you know, from being someone who had a bad mouth when she was angry, who, you know, sort of blamed people, who went after today saying, hey, what is it that, you know, being very mature, very classy, being able to step back and say, hmm, Let's take a deep breath. Let's connect with the breath. Okay, let's think about what is it that I can do to make myself feel better. Take that responsibility. Now, this, Dhwani, is a game changing way of living your life.
Absolutely, it is. It is. And I feel like, I genuinely feel like people do not have to go through breakdowns to, be able to have a breakthrough in their life.
Yeah.
I think we've learned it the hard way. Not everybody has to go through a bad experience to be able to live like this.
Yes.
You can start today, just take 100% responsibility of what all do you want to become as a person. Have
Yeah.
kind of clarity first and then start walking towards it.
Have you heard marriage is a contract? Has anyone told you that? It's a contract, which means what? You get to negotiate. Okay, I am here. I've been educated. I'm really good. My last speaker was Simran Reiki. She talks about reigniting the spark after 18 years of marriage. And she says, I'm probably not great at managing the kitchen. So if the food is going to be handled, I can make sure our home runs efficiently. And I think from anyone, you're blessed with different skills. So you need to know your woman. At this stage, I'd really ask someone when you talk about your relationship and you talk about the fact that you'll have different desires from each other, different expectations from each other. And we call this love languages. We talk about how, you connect with one another, how you can be there. Sometimes it means that you have to literally learn how to be there for the other person, and sometimes it means that you got to stop doing something that you're used to.
Yeah,
Takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of investing into. And a lot of people, especially women, because they hold so much of this weight, it's ideal for them more than it is for men, because if men are, they're not programmed to think that I need to make sure that my son is going to have a meal today, or that my parents, it's all like, okay, the home front is handled, I'm going to go to work and I'm going to come back. Their programming is focused on being providers, whereas we as women have a lot. Even if we are into businesses, we are thinking about a lot of stuff.
absolutely.
And so when women go through the expansion program, I'm doing the expansion program, I'm doing the ascension program for women to fully realize that, man, I can do this. Because life is not perfect, Dhwani. We all know that. In
Absolutely, it
We
is
are
not.
blessed to have options, that's for sure. And I'd say everyone should take their options, but you got to be clear about, what you want in life. That's your next
So
step.
true. So true. And I think this comes from, um, the confusion of how a female has to be
Mm-hmm.
and how a male has to be.
Yes, yes.
And I feel like a female can be how much ever independent she wants to be, can still feel elegant and, that female, the
Feminine energy.
energy
Yes,
in front of the person who lets her be. This is what
absolutely.
a masculine energy is all about.
Yeah, that safety, that knowing that I can be, I can take my time, I can do my makeup, I can, paint my nails,
Yes.
I can wake up because and have bed coffee in my bed. And all of these things are made to feel like, oh, madam, I can hear it. Can you not hear
Yeah.
it? Be like, oh, madam, ko coffee chahiye? Oh,
Yeah.
she wants this.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I feel like there is no way we can go back in time, right? And I hate it that we are compared कि पहले की लड़कियां ये सब सहन करती थी, या फिर पहले देखो, पहले शादियां टिक जाती थी, अभी क्यों नहीं टिकती है. You cannot go back in time. You need to start looking at the futuristic approach, how the lives are going to be now.
Yeah.
Is it ever going to be possible that we are going to live lives like our mothers and grandmothers? No way. Now, when we talk about safety, we don't mean that you have, your guards up like a bodyguard when I walk with you. That's not the kind of safety I want. The kind of safety is to make me feel safe
With you.
with you, with what I want to feel. I'm allowed to feel a certain way, and that is safety for us nowadays. It's
Uh,
not more like a physical safety that we're seeking.
yes, yes, absolutely. Not
Not
just,
only
you
emotional,
said it
right?
so well, like, not just someone hanging out at the door. So there's
Yeah.
so much that is happening, and this has just skimmed the surface for what we've done. But Vani, thank you so much. I think
Thank
that,
you.
from us talking about the actual separation process to going into the number of things that a person needs to consider during and after, and even getting into a marriage, it's worth doing coaching. It's worth doing any program. You can get in touch with Dhwani and me. Dhwani, please tell us your handles where we can find you.
My handles will be, of course, displayed below. Dhwani Shah 0201 is my Instagram handle. You can go follow me there. If you want to get in touch with me, I have programs about reconnecting with your feminine energy, specifically for women who want to feel seen, heard, special within yourself or with anybody else. It could be your spouse, it could be wherever you are.
Absolutely. And you can find my handle at Life Coach Mariam Suhail. I do one-to-one coaching. I am doing also group programs, not yet though, but you do get all of the videos and you get the entire journey and process. It's just one of those investments that a woman needs to make, like you did for your trousseau. You made sure you bought a beautiful sari or a piece of jewelry. I think this becomes one of the other things that you invest in. Make sure you do it right. Doesn't matter if you're working, doesn't matter if you're stay at home. This is something for everyone. Right?
Absolutely.
It changes
Absolutely.
the way you live your life. It transforms the way you love, the way you show up. And we're here for you. We're here to serve. And we've shared all of the bits that we could today to just be there for you, letting you know that no matter what, there's nothing wrong with you. There is nothing that you cannot overcome. You are beautiful, you are loved, and we will see you again in another beautiful episode
Thank
with
you so much.
more
Thank you.
conversations. And I'm sorry, but today literally had no coffee in it. We've got some water, and that's what happens
I
in
think
real
I've
life.
got my coffee and it looks like a
Great.
pretty big mug today for a Sunday morning.
Yes, yes, on a Sunday morning. Thank you so much, my darling.
Thank you for having me. I hope I could, help as many people
You
as
shared, and you shared from your heart and, uncensored. It takes a lot of courage to show up. And why are you doing it? You're doing this because of your love for all of the women that, want to feel like a part of a community, like they belong, that they have a big sister, they have, a mentor. And if you can see that in us, we're here to hold your hand through the process. Just
you
reach out. You
have to
can,
do this
help
alone.
a friend, you can help a sister, you can help anyone that you feel may need this. Do send us some love by sharing and spreading a good word about life, love, and laughter.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It was wonderful.